is Notsam Wrestling.
Introducing your host from New York, here is Sam Roberts.
Everywhere in the world right now, no matter who you're talking to, you can convince a non-wrestling fan that something in wrestling is cool. Whatever it is. Like, it could be something from WWE, it could be something from Japan, it could be something from NXT, it could be something from the UK. Like, you can show a non-wrestling fan, everybody's got something that you can show a non-wrestling fan and they go, yeah, that's cool. Like, it wasn't always that way. Like, when I was growing up, I remember, how many of you have been watching, it's Royal Rumble weekend. How many of you go back like 20 years? Yeah. So that's like 99. How many go back further? How many of you go back like 25, 30 years? Those are the down and dirty days, the early 90s, the mid 90s, before wrestling was cool. When it wasn't really cool anymore, and it wasn't really cool yet. When, like, I went to Isaac E. Young Middle School, and I thought I was cool. Yeah, right. Woo! I'm sure. But I showed up, right, and I thought it was cool. I was wearing a bright red T-shirt that was about 3 sizes too big for me. And this was before I had discovered the magic of HGH that would turn me into a normal-sized human being. But it was a bright red T-shirt. It was probably in like 6th or 7th grade. And there's a big heart on the front of it. And sticking out of this heart was this shirtless, mulleted man, and his chin was resting on his fist, and under it said, "The Heartbreak Kid." And I was like, all the dudes here are going to think I'm the man for wearing this shirt. And you know what? All of you guys, all us wrestling fans were like, that's the coolest shirt ever. But everybody else was like, what is that? And all the girls, you're just starting to meet girls, and they're like, hey, Sam, what's that shirt? And you're in that awkward stage where you give, like, a full Wikipedia of who Shawn Michaels is, when they're like, well, he started in the AWA, you see. It was the Midnight Rockers before it was the Rockers. And she was like, I was just wondering why the shirt was so big. I don't know why you've taken it this far. But, you do stuff like you'd say, oh, man, I saw this thing on Raw this week. And there'd be some guy that was like, wrestling's fake, you loser. And they'd call you a loser, and it was like the worst thing that you could ever feel until, and as cool as wrestling is now, it still kind of happens. You'll go on Twitter, and you'll go, oh, I just saw this thing on Raw. It was really cool. And the first response is, I hope you and your entire family dies in a fiery car wreck. And you're like, what? Who would write that? And it says, New Japan guy, 55. And you're like, wait, the wrestling fans are now making fun of the wrestling fans? I don't know, but I don't think that's any of you guys. I think we're all here to celebrate our love of this thing, to celebrate Royal Rumble weekend, and to do it properly. Yeah. And I think one of the ways we can do it properly is if I introduce my co-host for the evening. This is a guy who never has a negative thing said about him on Twitter. He is the voice of Monday Night Raw, the voice of SmackDown Live, the voice of every WWE pay-per-view. He is, whether he knows it or not, he's become my spiritual guru because of his Instagram stories. I don't know how many of you are keeping up with his Buddhist quotes that have been popping up, but I love it. He's the savior of misbehavior, and he's the love master. Ladies and gentlemen, Corey Graves. Look at him. Look at him. Look at him. Put your prayer hands together for Corey Graves. There they are.
I appreciate all the prayer hands, but Sam, let's be honest, you already screwed up my intro. I'm not the love master.
No?
I am the world champion of love. Thank you very much.
I forgot. I'm sorry. I can't believe I screwed that up.
We just went over it like 5 minutes ago back.
I know. It was a new nickname, and now I feel silly.
Well,
I'm glad that you're here, man.
I'm glad to be here.
Yeah.
I'm in a great mood. I am not necessarily officially a Zen Buddhist now, but Sam christened me that earlier today, so we'll just roll with it.
Yeah, I mean, I can't believe it. Do you guys follow Graves' Instagram stories? Have you been watching?
It's not that exciting.
I think it is.
It's not that good.
All of a sudden, it's like live and let go and just accept what you accept and reject what you don't
Anybody in here been
and...
divorced before? There we go, my man. That's where we're at.
Another Buddhist, I see.
Hey, yeah.
You know, I was thinking of you because, you know, you do the prayer hands in the photos.
I thought it was because I was incredibly handsome.
No, but yeah, I mean, that's normally, but I don't have any follow-up to that. You're a handsome guy.
That's all I got.
But you, you do the prayer hands in photos. And I don't know if you know this. I never was irritated by it, but some people are. Mark Henry told me that he saw you do the prayer hands, and he saw the posters that we had designed for this show, and he saw the animated version of you with prayer hands.
Right.
And he said, the next time I see Corey Graves, I'm going to kick him in the nuts. He does not like your prayer hands.
I have a hard time believing Mark Henry can kick above his waist. Send that, Dave LaGreca.
Oh, my God.
Yeah, Big Show always gives me crap for that.
For the prayer hands?
Yeah, he says, I guess, I've never seen a Lego movie, but apparently there's a bit in the Lego movie where Batman says, humble hands, or something. Mm-hmm. So every time I see Big Show, he goes, oh, humble hands. And it's like, you're a giant. It's just weird. It's not funny. It's just uncomfortable. I don't understand it.
I love the idea of the Big Show just sitting at home giggling to himself as he watches the Lego movie.
Apparently, much like Mark Henry, me doing this offends everyone in Big Show's house. You know.
Well, it's an old school thing. You know, we don't do prayer hands and we watch the Lego movie. That's what the legends
I have 3 children. I've never seen a Lego movie. I don't know.
That's an accomplishment.
Maybe I suck at being a dad. I don't know.
Well, wait, you're not the world champion, Dad. You're the world champion.
I'm the world champion of love.
Of love. And that's very, very important. Are you excited for the weekend? Of course, you know, pay-per-view weekends are no small feat for you. You do Raw, you do SmackDown.
431 hours of live commentary this week.
That's right. That's right. And then you'll follow it up with voiceovers for 2K19.
That's right.
Just to round it out.
I've actually stopped consuming liquid until next Thursday.
Yeah, do any of you play like the 2K games? Yeah, I do too. But I really always just took the commentary for granted until I started talking to Graves about, like, I'd be sitting there and I will have seen him like 3 days ago at a pay-per-view or something, and my life will have completely moved on, and he's like, no, I'm in Orlando, still doing commentary, now for the video game.
Well, let's give it up for the 2K crew who realized if you want to keep Corey Graves happy, just have good beer in the cooler all day. So if I'm slurring my words in the 2K game, yeah, that's where we were at. But to your point, it's Royal Rumble weekend,
right,
which is historically always, I've been a fan my entire life. This is the coolest pay-per-view of the year, I think.
I think so. And you know,
for fans, I mean, those of us that know, like, this is the kickoff to the beginning of the important part of the year.
Right, right.
People that don't even like wrestling watch WrestleMania.
Right.
It's the Super Bowl.
People that don't even like wrestling can get into the Royal Rumble match.
Right. I don't even like wrestling.
Right. Well, at this point.
So yeah, but I'm still excited.
How do you sit there and do you know anything about the Royal Rumble matches themselves? Do you like to be surprised? Do you kind of know?
So according to the internet, which I read sparingly, I have a script in front of me at all times, which is news to me. And
I've seen you reading off it, Graves.
Yeah,
I
would love to have a script because it would make my job and my life way easier. We have these things called run sheets, which any television show has, so you know what's actually happening on the show. As far as the commentary goes, I wish I didn't have to think for myself. But beyond that, I actually am one that I hate to know what's going to happen before it happens. Because ultimately, at the end of the day, I'm a wrestling fan. I have been for 30, however many years I've been on the earth. I don't want to reveal that.
30 too many.
Yeah, I'm way too old. I get to react to things. And generally speaking, my reaction is real. Like, I'll give, for example, like the Hardys came back in Orlando a couple years ago. I had no earthly idea. I swear on my children, I had no clue that was happening, and I heard the first few beats of their song, and whatever I said, which I wasn't even particularly cool, but it was real. It was just like, oh my God, the Hardys are back. This is nuts. And to be a wrestling fan and to be there for that, I feel like, in a way, that's my job, is to connect. I kind of get to be the in-between between the fans and what we have to do. Obviously, we have business we've got to do, but ultimately, I'm still a fan, and I think that's one of those things that all of us, even, I mean, you talk to Roman or Seth or Dean or any of the guys that are like on top, they're on top because they haven't forgotten what it means to be a fan. And as much as the business has changed and it's crazy and we get frustrated and tired and it's different than it was when we were all kids, we're fans. Like, we all love the same thing, even if you want to pick it apart, or like, you love pro wrestling, whether you might like this guy or this company or this group or what. It's the same business, man. Like, it's you like movies, you like TV shows. We're fans, you know what I mean? So to be able to keep that is very important to me. I try to, you know, and the fact that I have a general disdain for mankind, which kind of blends nicely with all that.
So that's a long-winded way of saying you don't know if Kenny Omega's coming or not.
If he was coming, I think I would know by now. But hey, you know what? If he shows up, I have to think of something cool to say, I guess.
Well, yeah. So is the art not cursing even in those real moments? Because I feel like I know that when I saw the Hardy Boys, I didn't know the Hardy Boys were coming out either. And one of the guys, like, I was actually like leaving the seating area, and one of the guys who works for WWE didn't tip me off, but he goes, "Sam, you might want to sit in the audience for a second." And I was like, "Yeah, okay,
he knew
whatever."
More than I did.
Right. And that's what he wanted me to be a part of this reaction. And I'm sure the first words that came out of my mouth were profane. Yeah. In a good way. Yeah. Like, oh, what the?
So as I learned at Caroline's in Broadway, you heavily edit everything that I say. So realistically speaking, Matt's first words when I heard the Hardy Boys music were, "Holy." Okay. But that doesn't necessarily work in a PG environment. Right. So, you know.
Do me a favor and time code that hot dog.
Yeah, hot dog. This one's gonna be way easier. I actually know that I'm here this time. McAfee, I'm still waiting on you, you son of a.
Oh, it'll happen. Well, I think, you know, your reactions are certainly something that people have been tuning in for. In fact, when we talk about the Royal Rumble, some people, this is a debate that rages. When we talk about the Royal Rumble, does that include the greatest Royal Rumble?
It's according to a 73-year-old billionaire that I work with, statistically speaking, yes, the greatest Royal Rumble is included as far as all Royal Rumble history goes.
So what's the? I mean,
yeah, I heard there's some people are really unhappy.
Why is it just because you're traditionalist? You just want, like, there's one Royal Rumble and that's it? So. In your guys' mind,
just wait till the Super Survivor Series next year. WrestleMania Plus.
Yeah, so that means there's only one Royal Rumble winner who's ever gotten a big green championship.
That's right.
Right, I see.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
He doesn't even need to. If he's not in this one or whatever, he's fine because he won the last one.
It's fine. Yeah.
I see. So the reason I brought up the greatest Royal Rumble is because
this is the single greatest moment in Royal Rumble history. I know where we're going with this, Sam. I feel it.
I don't think this was scripted. I don't think this was in your script or your rundown or whatever it was that you were reading. Of course, the greatest Royal Rumble, it was the greatest because 40 men, right? It was 40, right?
Was it 40 or 50? I don't know.
Was it 50? My goodness, 50.
I was there. I don't know. I called, I don't know.
Well, because for some reason you lost track at number 39. And I don't know if you remember who number 39 was. I'm sure you have no idea where I'm going with this. But is this something we'd all like to relive as...
Number 39 into the Rumble. 39 men. And the leader of Titus Worldwide, Titus O'Neil. Titus had a very busy week here in Saudi Arabia. He's had dinner with many princes and very important people, and he just... Oh my God, what the heck? What did Titus just... I can't believe what I just saw. Did that really happen?
Oh my God!
Oh my God, did that happen?
Yes, it did. Yes, it did.
Oh my God, here's the replay. Titus O'Neil trying to get into the ring, and Titus O'Neil tripped and went head first through the apron underneath the ring. And Titus is ticked off now.
I just might want to check the size
So
of his boots.
this reminds me, oh my God.
All right. Yeah, you want to talk about unscripted, just real life? That was as hard as I've ever laughed on television, or maybe in life. The thing that people don't realize is, we realized after the fact how close Titus was to dying. Because about a half a centimeter above his head is a steel I-beam that goes the entire way across the ring. And had he hit that, it would have been like the saddest day in history. Instead, it lives up as one of my favorite moments in wrestling history.
And this is when you know that like funny is just funny, because Titus is like one of the most wonderful, beloved people in the entire company. Like there's no better dude. But to watch any man, or woman for that matter, fall down the way he fell down in the moment that he fell down.
It wasn't just that he fell down, it was that he disappeared. He completely just was gone from view. It was absolutely ridiculous. To this day, all my friends know that there are two things in the world, no matter how pissed off I am, will make me laugh. It's that, and the scene in National Lampoon's Vacation when Chevy Chase is hitting himself in the face with a sandwich. When he sees Christy Brinkley. I think I told you, I think we talked about this on your show. I don't care, like my best friend could have just died. If I see one of those two things, I'm like, all right, it's not that bad. It's okay.
That's like the second before he realizes it's a urine-soaked sandwich.
That's right.
Yes. I think that, but it restored my faith in you, actually, because I watched that clip many times.
You lost faith in me, Sam?
Well, maybe for a period of time. But you actually don't laugh. If you really analyze the clip, you don't laugh until his feet move. Meaning that if he had been horrifically injured or killed, you wouldn't have laughed. No, however, once he starts...
I love Titus. He's a hell of a human being.
But once you realize Titus is okay, you go, this may be the single greatest moment of my life. He was just humiliated. And the thing also about that clip that you told me, Graves, was that, and I didn't even realize this until I rewatched it after you told me, when Titus got back in the ring after that, furious.
He beat the shit out of everyone. You know how like you get like embarrassed and you're like, oh no, I gotta straighten myself and dust myself off. He just went, no, I'm fighting everyone right now. If you're within, and he's got arms like he's got a wingspan like a pterodactyl. He can hit you. I can hit you from here if you're Titus O'Neil. Batman, you're in trouble. He's got the longest arms in the world, and he was pissed. He was embarrassed, and he was trying to hurt everyone, which you know.
Well, Corey Graves, you're not the only one who's going to be calling a Royal Rumble match.
I am not.
On Sunday night. And
I'm going to take just a second to say that when Sam and I decided we were going to take this venture, it was very wing it, kind of like we do everything in life.
That's right.
So this week, I went, hey, Sam, who you got lined up? And he went,
yeah.
And I went, cool.
I couldn't give him the line. Usually I'm giving like, oh, well, I got Corey Graves is going to be my co-host. And he's like,
no
Sam.
one came to see me. I got that.
Sam, he said, I am Corey Graves.
Yeah. But I wasn't the world champion of love that day.
No, not yet.
That was a new development. That was today.
Not yet. But we did travel deep into our Rolodex, didn't we?
I actually just went to the top 3 text messages in my phone. And I went, who can I call that people would be intrigued by that have a far more interesting worldview than we do?
That's right.
So, can I do an intro? Is Hot Dog ready? Hot Dog.
Hot Dog's ready. You are the co-host. You should
I am
be
the co-host.
people.
I'm going to do the intro because this is my co-hosting duty. Yeah. For all of your viewing/listening pleasure, she is 1/3 of the Monday Night Raw commentary team and one of my best friends, Ms. Renee Young.
There she is. Renee Young.
Hi.
Or is that
Can you guys hear me? Okay.
By the way, Renee cosplaying as early 80s Debbie Harry.
I am always cosplaying Debbie Harry in one way or the other, so this is
I
just
got a
a
real
different
strong
version.
Giada vibe. Because
Shut
of the...
your mouth. You shut your mouth when you're talking to me.
Well, welcome, Renee.
Thank you.
I mean, what an exciting time to be you. I feel like the
What a
last
time to
several
be
months has
alive.
been a whirlwind.
It has been, yeah. It's a lot. It's cool. I mean, I'm kind of rolling with it every day, every week, getting more experience under my belt with Monday Night Raw, getting to call my very first Royal Rumble. It's cool, man.
You had commentary experience from earlier in your career.
Brief. Sure.
Then you do the Mae Young Classic, and then all of a sudden, in very short order, the place where you're kind of learning is the marquee television show. And oh, by the way, we're getting you on pay-per-view too, and it's time to just
No pressure.
hit the ground running. Yeah.
Yeah, it was a lot. I mean, I sort of feel like I brought it upon myself a little bit because I know a lot of people online were kind of messaging me, hey, you should try commentary again. Cool. And like for a long time, just doing like backstage interviews, like you run through it. It's not changing. Nothing else is really happening. So I kept wanting to do more. I've always wanted to have more on my plate. So when this opportunity kind of came up to do commentary and people kind of poking me to see if I would do it, I sort of put it like into the universe. When I started like tweeting about it, like, yeah, you know what, maybe I would want to try to do that again. And then all of a sudden Michael Cole's like, hey, you're filling in next week. And I was like, oh, wait, what? I didn't really know that something like that was going to actually come to fruition. I didn't think that opportunity was actually going to be on the table for me, let alone to be doing Monday Night Raw. Like, yeah, my head was spinning. It still sort of is.
Right. Does it feel like the gig yet? Like, because at first it's going to feel like this is the thing I'm learning how to do, and then eventually it just becomes this is the thing that I do.
It kind of goes through waves. Like, I feel like when I first started doing it, I was like, man, I really feel like things are syncing up for me where I want them to be. It's like I've been working for WWE for like 6 years at this point. I'm far more comfortable talking about the product in the WWE way, where when I first started doing commentary, I had not a clue. I didn't know what the hell I was doing. So I was really just kind of winging it, but then having years of doing all the panels and understanding what my role was with that, having, the fans get used to me in that role as well. So yeah, when I first started, I was like, man, I really feel like this is coming together and this is a spot that I'm supposed to be. And then you have like an off night and you're like, oh, maybe this isn't what I'm supposed to be doing. So yeah, it's like there's nights that I feel like it is a thing I'm supposed to be doing, or it's like the step in the right direction for what I want to be doing. But it's just such a big hill to climb and there's so much to it. And then you sit next to this asshole who's so good at it.
Are you talking about the world champion of love?
Something like that.
Oh.
But I mean, he's so good at it and it comes so naturally to him, and I'm sort of just finding my footing and trying to figure out what works for me and what doesn't work for me. And yeah, obviously under the microscope, massively with that.
Takes the heat off me, which makes my life much better. I will attest in a public forum that Renee Young at least has more passion for what we do than anybody that I've worked with, not named Michael Cole, because he's been here for a million years. So,
Thank you.
yeah, I don't say much nice to her personally. It's usually a friendship
He
based
only
on...
does it more in front of people publicly.
That's right.
It's twisted.
It's a litany of insults and...
How do I guess this is for both of you, because I think it's kind of amazing and for us fans to maintain enthusiasm for WWE and for Raw and SmackDown and the product. Like, it's easy for us because it's our escape. It's what we do. It's what we love. But it's not our job, right? I don't think any of us have the same enthusiasm for our job. Well, I mean, my job's to be on a morning show, so that I'm a bad example. But the rest of the people. When I was working at Sam Goody's, I didn't have the enthusiasm for that I did for wrestling. How do you guys maintain that enthusiasm on a week-to-week basis?
I just get really excited for my friends.
I see.
It's like watching people that that you see putting in all this hard work and understanding like where they come from, and certain people getting opportunities that, like somebody like Mustafa Ali, like when he started doing, like I'm so stoked for that dude. I'm so happy for the stuff that's coming his way. And I really feel like this will be his year, but it's like when you see these people that are your friends and success comes their way, it's easy to keep you motivated and kind of keep you on task with that.
What if you don't have any friends, Corey?
I'm a great liar. I should have been an attorney. It probably would have paid better. I can just turn it on. I don't know. Oh my God, this time the guy in the lobster shorts is gonna fight NWO Incredible Hulk right here. He's bursting through his jacket. Ladies and gentlemen, someone get that man a coat.
How great was that?
It wasn't that good.
I'm more impressed that you could see that those were lobsters.
I've been staring at his lobster shorts the entire time. I'm sorry, it's quite distracting. He's also wearing a Little Lebowski shirt, which is the one of the, maybe the greatest movie of all time.
Better than Chevy Chase smacking himself with a piss sandwich?
Yeah,
Wow.
consistently. That one scene gets me. The rest of it doesn't really do it for me.
I see.
Lebowski as a whole is a real experience.
Have you thought, Renee, about how you're going to handle doing the or the commentary for this Royal Rumble match?
Well, I'm doing the Women's Royal Rumble match.
Right.
So no.
Yeah,
whether it's the men's or the women's, it's a hard no. No, I've not done a Royal Rumble match, but I feel like the cool thing is no matter what, every 90 seconds-ish, something else new is going to happen, so I'll just kind of go with that news story of whatever comes out.
Whoa, look who it is!
Holy I'm going to be counting down with everybody else, so I don't know, I'm just kind of going into it to have fun. I feel like that's sort of my mindset right now, is sticking with the throw stuff against a wall and see what works and try not to be so serious and have my together, because I don't think it works for me.
Like maybe actually have fun?
Yes, please. Oh my God.
Forbidden.
I have pink hair now. It means I have to, right?
I want someone's prediction, and I want this to be as outlandish as possible. Not like, oh, I think the guy that we all know is going to win. Best case scenario, sir, you in the Colorado Rockies shirt. Who wins the Royal Rumble and why?
I'm going to say... Speak up. Ow. All right. I would like to see Braun come out, like, just to spite Vince McMahon.
Stand up, sir. What's your name there?
Josh, what's up, guys?
Josh, who do you... Keep standing. Let the people see that beautiful face, Josh.
Hey,
look at you.
Book it right
you look
now.
Fantastic.
The Kingslayer, Seth Rollins, is going to win this Royal Rumble and replicate the WrestleMania at Levi Stadium and come out the champion at WrestleMania.
I ain't mad at it.
Well, you're
I'm not mad at it at all.
No. Here's the issue, though, Graves. You said not to do the predictable...
Well, no, it didn't say lie to me, Sam.
Yeah,
For God's sake.
Okay.
I'm totally cool with that because I was at Levi Stadium. I think were you there?
I was there.
Yeah.
I was just a mere fan in the crowd.
Yeah, I remember.
You weren't working for us then?
I was not.
Sitting at the
This
top
is like
of-
that movie Rockstar. I grew up with a picture of these guys on my wall, and now I'm one of them.
To be fair, this is actually one of my favorite stories, and then I'll keep it short-winded. Levi Stadium was one of my first WrestleManias. She and I spent the entire day atop the stadium at this really cool day. We did WrestleMania like every hour on the network, and I wasn't doing commentary yet.
Yeah.
And I was sitting up there with Byron Saxton, ironically enough, and we were watching the show. We were sitting there, and we were kind of looking over live, and we were watching the video screens, and I kept my ear monitors in so I could hear the audio and the commentary for the day. And back to me not wanting to know anything because I get to a legitimate reaction. I'm watching the main event. I'm watching Roman and Brock beat the living shit out of each other and having a great time. And my ear monitors didn't match the live audio. So I hear like 20,000 drums happening at once. And I don't know what's going on. I don't recognize the music. I don't know what it is. And I look up. And Seth is running down with the Money in the Bank briefcase. No, but Seth Rollins, I mean, it's not really a secret. He's one of my best friends in the business. And to see him, and I had texted him because he wrestled Randy Orton earlier in the night. And I sent him a text and I was like, man, awesome match with Randy, super cool. And he responded, you ain't seen nothing yet. I don't even read into it. I don't think anything of it. And then I am watching one of my closest friends at the main event of WrestleMania run down, win the title. That was, to this, I'm getting goosebumps telling the story. That was genuinely one of the most exciting things I've experienced. And I didn't get to call it. I wasn't even on commentary yet. But so that's why I love I still being a fan and getting to be surprised. I mean, it's fun.
It's magical. Yeah, like it's like when Dean won.
Who?
Don't do this to me here. When he cashed in his Money in the Bank and won the WWE Championship, and he never tells me anything. But yeah, I heard some people backstage being like, "Oh, make sure that you watch tonight's main event." I was like, "Okay, what?" And thank God I did actually get to a monitor and I got to see John cash in his Money in the Bank contracts. Otherwise, I would not have seen that. But to get those magical moments is like, it blows your mind.
I was in Las Vegas airport that night because Seth came back, and Booker and I were traveling together. We left. We were at the airport. I was in security. I fell in love with Misha Tate.
Graves falls in love a lot.
I'm the world
He's
champion
the world
of love.
champion.
Yeah. And I fell in love with Misha Tate, and we got on the tram, and I was looking at my phone, and it said Dean Ambrose wins WWE Championship. And I went,
Yeah, it blew my mind. We got to like drive home that night too. We just like went to our own house. We're like, oh, that was weird. Then we went and drank Tall Boys behind a gas station.
were you
Such a
wearing those
classy
boots,
lady.
Renee?
You mind your business.
I'm curious as far as other people's predictions as to what's going on in the Royal Rumble. Sam, do you have anybody else waiting around?
What about for the women's? What about the women's Royal Rumble?
prognostication?
I do. I mean, I think that
I know where I'm getting at. I think this next person might have a great opinion on the Women's Royal Rumble.
Okay.
More qualified than any of us.
Okay.
on the women, you think so?
I don't fucking know. I'm trying
okay.
trying to segue, Sam. We're on a time limit here.
Yeah, no,
That's what I do.
I think that we need the perspective of another fan.
Yeah.
And somebody who's strong enough that he could try to sell the world's biggest podcaster on the art of pro wrestling.
He's got to have some broad shoulders. For
that. Those broad shoulders. Strollers also. He's expecting.
That's what we like to call a Freudian slip, Sam.
Those broad shoulders.
This is a really great build-up, you guys.
Belong to only one man, one of the biggest wrestling fans you'll ever find, one of the funniest men you'll ever find, a man who will be here later on tonight doing his own show, but right now he's on our show, ladies and gentlemen, Tony Hinchcliffe. There he is. Tony Hinchcliffe. Tony Hinchcliffe is he's amazing because this is the man who is convincing. You know how in the beginning of the show we talked about having non-wrestling fans in our lives, that we have to show them things to convince them that wrestling is cool? Tony Hinchcliffe is doing this with Joe Rogan.
You know, we're trying to break on through to the other side. You know, he's convinced that that it's not interesting because it's not really real, and I tell him, "You, dude, you don't get it, bro."
Yeah, I mean, it seems like he's coming around on it. You've had DDP and Jake Roberts on.
Oh, it's totally happening. Oh, it's happening. We've see what ended up happening is so many of the WWE things ended up happening organically in the UFC. You know, 5 years ago when I was telling him that he would love it, I'm like, you know, they have finishing moves and it's exciting and you're looking to them for them to set it up, and that was like right when Ronda in UFC was starting to really armbar people and remain, you know, undefeated and unstoppable, and you have Nate Diaz slapping people, and Conor McGregor was nowhere to be found yet. I mean, he's just basically like oh my God, how do I blank out on the Irish
Vince
guy?
McMahon.
He's like an Irish guy.
Yeah.
Gerard Butler?
Yeah.
No, the redheaded Irish wrestler.
Sheamus?
Yes, Sheamus.
No, I went Finn Balor. I don't know.
Oh yeah, him too.
Sure.
Becky,
Yeah.
but anyway, you know, Connor, you know, all those things happen. So I'm excited about it. I think there's a big crossover happening, and I think it's organic. And anytime he tells me that that wrestling sucks, I'm like, shut up, dude. Brock will beat any of your guys.
Yeah. Amen. Amen.
And he can't answer to that because it's true.
You're also an MMA fanatic. How do you feel about the year now? Because it'll be a year for Ronda since her first appearance at the last Royal Rumble. Yeah. How do you feel about the year that Ronda's had?
I love it. I was there when she made her debut a year ago Sunday. And me and my buddies, we always go to every Royal Rumble because it's the coolest, and no matter what city
Thank you,
it's in.
right? I said that before. As a wrestling fan, that's the best pay-per-view of the year, right?
Yeah.
Hands down.
I tell everybody, it's like New Year's Eve times 30. You get to count down, and it's just so much fun.
And then you get to do it twice now because of the Women's Royal Rumble. You're like, we get to do it all over again. It's New Year's.
And the Women's Rumble last year was amazing. They have if anybody has a tough act to follow, it's them because they started off stealing the show. So that's going to be fun to watch. But
are there any potential worrisome winners? Like, is there any sort of risk of that moment that's so bad that even The Rock gets booed and he looks out into the audience going, I don't I don't remember what these sounds are.
We're in Phoenix, so no.
That's a good point.
It depends on the city. That's always a possibility depending on the town you're in. Chicago, New York, Philly. If they don't like it, they'll let you know. But if we're in Phoenix, and I don't think anyone here has actually ever watched wrestling before, which is cool.
Yeah, we actually got all the wrestling people
you guys
here.
are all imports. No one's actually from Phoenix, right?
You'll hear me booing. I'll be booing if it's someone too predictable. Like, I don't know who had the Seth Rollins hot take. Yeah, what a bold prediction, sir. Way to really go balls to the wall in front of a live audience.
Okay. Tony, who do you have winning the women's?
I have the Undertaker winning the Women's Royal Rumble.
Hell yeah.
That's the kind of those are the kind of swerves that I like.
Yeah.
No, but I will tell you is I think, and this is what I said I have a little wrestling podcast with me and some of my comedy buddies at the Comedy Store, and my bold prediction for the Men's Royal Rumble is to win. I would love to see coming in at say number 26, 27, 28. Ronda Rousey to be, they put China, I believe, in a Royal Rumble
and
before,
Beth
right?
Phoenix.
I think Swerve City, Ronda comes out, and somehow, that maybe the guys don't want to mess with her, right? Like, no, that's too easy. I'm going to take care of this big guy.
So then Ronda fights Brock at Mania?
I love it. I love it. I'm telling you, we do all these. We've been giving women more and more opportunities in the WWE.
Quality.
They had the main event. You know what I mean? This and that. I say let's push them all the way. I want to see Ronda get F5 to like 35 times.
I'm hoping we have like surprise women this year.
I think they've only announced like 20 or so.
I want Bull Nakano.
Oh my God.
She was awesome.
If Bull Nakano showed up, or even like Miko Satomura, if she showed up, that would be sick.
Yeah.
Did you guys know Bull Nakano became an LPGA golfer?
Have you?
No, I was shocked. I was like, wait a minute, this was like the baddest woman that I ever saw as a child.
If she did like that 10-year
nah.
challenge, she looks amazing right now too.
Yeah,
She's
hopefully she still has tall blue hair.
in the makeup.
I love it.
Yeah, she was like, she's become this like delicate flower of a person. I follow her on Instagram, and I'm like, I can't believe this is
She's
the same
like the
Bull.
Sam Roberts of the women's world.
That's right. You mean the new Bull or the old Bull?
All of the above.
Well, how are you guys going to handle, you're talking about the history of the Royal Rumble, all the things that have happened. One of my great memories, I believe, in the 1997 Royal Rumble, the WWE went to San Antonio, Texas. They were competing with the WCW's Cruiserweight division, and of course, there was a big Hispanic population in San Antonio, Texas. So the WWE tried to bring in some AAA stars. One of them was the great Mil Mascaras. Where some believe the greatest masked wrestler of all time. But this was his Royal Rumble appearance.
Cibernetico has been eliminated. Wait a minute, Pierrot, don't tell
Eliminated somebody there.
There he is. That's Pierrot. There he is. He's on the top rope.
Mil Mascaras straight to the air. Whoa!
And that's Mil Mascaras.
He just eliminated himself. He didn't know.
No.
He may be confused with the rules.
There he is.
A mental error there.
He eliminated
That's why.
himself.
Just saying. He watched that and went, God damn, Mil
I used to go
Mascaras.
to a Mil Mascaras taco joint in New York called La Lucha.
Oh yeah?
Yeah, in Alphabet City.
ever
It's
there?
awesome. No, but they used to project all of his matches on
Man
the
of a
side
thousand
wall.
masks. Yeah.
Probably not that one.
No, it was not that.
That
It was
one might not have
that
been
one.
projected. So do you guys hope for moments like that so you can kind of be like, let's deal with this now? Or do you go like, what am I supposed to do with that?
Yeah, I've gotten to the point where I pride myself on being able to cover up stuff that doesn't make any sense. But sometimes when it's beyond me, I just go, yeah, no, that was just, I got nothing for that. I
You
live
love
for that
Lucha
stuff.
House rules.
No.
Here's a question. Oh. No?
Still real to me, damn it.
Here's a question for Corey Graves along those same lines. Several months ago on Raw, and this has bothered me ever since then. Several months ago, you remember Kurt Angle was dressed up as...
Hunter S. Thompson?
No, I believe it was one of the Conquistadors.
Oh, yeah.
He showed up in all gold, and then the next week, somebody that clearly wasn't Kurt Angle pretended to be Kurt Angle, and nobody led on to it except right at the peak of like, who could it be? And there's a painter in there. somebody's voice just pipes up on commentary and goes, yeah, that's not Kurt Angle. That's definitely not. That's clearly not him. It's a different size. And I'm going, did Graves just...
Yeah. I just couldn't take it anymore. It's a lot of stuff I deal with. The highlight of that day was watching Devon Dudley.
I was just going to say this.
Who was one of our producers, with the local extra, who was dressed up in the conquistador costume that night, rehearsing the dance.
It was
Devon Dudley, who is not quite as slender as you remember him. And he's in the ring trying to do this dance. And there's this poor local extra kid who's just like, they gave me $500, I'll do whatever you want. He's trying to do it, and both of them are rehearsing this dance in the midst of rehearsals of like stuff that's actually going to happen on Raw. So in the background of like, let's say a Brock Lesnar, Paul Heyman promo, there's Devon and the Conquistador just in the background. It was just one of those things where you went, what the f*** am I doing with my life?
It makes the
How did I
days
get here?
tolerable. It's good stuff.
You
I
need
love
stuff
shit
like that. Yeah.
Do you, Tony, like, when you say like the swerves, do you like the disastrous moments like that? Like the no mascaras thing in the Rumble, or just the stuff that you look at and go like, under what context would that ever happen?
Both, all of it. All in both types of swerves. Like, I like it like that. I like the Shockmaster.
Here's a bit of trivia for you.
Yeah.
And I know Renee knows, I don't know that a lot of people know. The Shockmaster's son actually rings the bell for us now.
What?
Yeah. Oh, yes. The Shockmaster not only reproduced.
You get grandfathered into the...
Yes, it's an incestuous business. Yes, but the Shockmaster's son is our official timekeeper now.
Does he just fall on the bell?
No, but he does wear a purple stormtrooper helmet everywhere he goes. It's kind of weird.
You know, I mean, I recently had a debate with somebody about the Shockmaster, who I think that was a worse disaster than the Titus O'Neil disaster because it literally ended a man's career. Like, there was nothing that poor Typhoon could do
Except
after
for the
that.
fact, like, he just had a figure come out, like, last year. Like,
Really?
He became folklore.
Well, that's the other side of it, that now Mattel put out a Shockmaster figure. He goes to autograph signings with the Shockmaster helmet, the original Stormtrooper glittered up helmet. And I'm going like, yeah, it was about 20 years of rough. But he really came out the other end looking great.
Yeah. I want a piece of drywall signed by him. What a huge human being, for the record.
Yeah.
Oh my God. Like you watch, because that was the era I grew up on. And you see Earthquake and Hulk Hogan and Tugboat, and you're like, oh well, he's like kind of the same size as Hulk, but he's way bigger. And even now, he's the sweetest guy, and he's all gray, but he's still like 6'9" and 400 pounds and terrifying. And I'm like, but that's the Shockmaster. Oh, that poor guy will never not be the Shockmaster.
He's been smart enough to lean into it.
Yeah,
just like he leaned into that
I
wall.
can't wait for like the new WWE ring with Titus O'Neil's legs. Let's
I'm so
get Mattel
sad
on
you
the
guys
phone.
played that before I got out here.
I know. It was just exactly the same. I laughed just as hard.
We heard a massive pop on the other side of the wall.
Was there anybody when that Titus thing happened that was going like, guys, don't laugh at that. That's not cool.
No. Literally 0 people felt that way.
Really?
Everyone went, yeah, that was the funniest thing that's happened in forever.
I think they should, just like it took the Shockmaster a long time to lean into that. I think Titus everything should be based on that now.
I
like
agree.
It's like for example, Sunday when they count down and his music hits, he should just still be coming out from under the ring instead of.
I concur, except for the sad reality of it is, if the plan were to him to mess up, he'd screw it up. Listen, we all love Titus O'Neil as a human being. He's like I've said already, he's an incredible man. Trust him with my family. He does great stuff for the community.
You said that about Byron.
Yeah, I'm trying to get rid of my kids, Renee. All right. I had to get rid of my wife. Now I'm trying to get rid of the kids. No.
Here we go.
He just. But if you tell him something that has to be done, this Royal Rumble trivia. Yeah. Several years back, Titus O'Neil was given the keys to the award of having the fastest elimination in Royal Rumble history. which up until him, I believe, was one of the Bushwhackers, maybe Santino. It was like a 3-4 second window situation. The decision had been made that distinction would now go to Titus, which is kind of cool.
It's a good spot.
Yeah, I was in the Royal Rumble less time than anybody else ever. That's kind of funny, and why not roll with it? Titus has no ego. He's happy to do it, except he screwed up. He got in the ring. Whoever was supposed to clotheslined him, and Titus just couldn't find the ropes.
And it looked a little something.
Oh, we have it. God damn.
I told you I'm the last professional broadcaster.
I was just going to give you that heads up. The last
It
professional
looked-
broadcaster.
A little something like this.
Entry number 26.
2015, by the way.
There's Mayor Glenn.
Yeah, what a hunk.
Listen
Look
to
at
that
this
pop
babe.
from the crowd.
I'd hit it.
There's the Royal Rumble match race.
He's still making $1 million moves here.
Primetime player Titus.
I don't know what that means.
There he is, smashing the stairs.
He's super pissed off, ready to fight everyone.
There he
And
is. Double clothesline.
nope.
Dude, there is nothing better than his second leap. The second leap, because he gets the clothesline, he takes the clothesline, but the rope's not there. So Dean and Roman try to clothesline him again to help him out, but he's not there to take it because he's like, I'm throwing myself over these ropes. I don't have a second to spare. I got a record to keep here.
No, but the problem is he missed the record.
He did.
It's gone. He did not achieve the record that we were all hoping for.
No, he didn't. Poor.
It would have been
Poor
great
guy.
if when he hit the ground after that, just roll right back under. I mean, just like it's just.
Let's relive it. Let's just try to do it all.
Just
I
get
agree.
him out, get him under there before the show starts. Take him out after everybody leaves.
He needs like a mini fridge and like a beanbag chair or something to be good to go.
Yeah, is there anything you can do with Titus this year? Because in a Royal Rumble scenario, the minute Titus O'Neil's music hits, people want to see a slip and slide. That's it.
I don't know if you can recreate that magic.
You can't, right? Because you can't do it on purpose, but you can't not do it.
No, because he tried to do it on purpose, like the following Raw, and it was stupid. It was like, wait a minute, that's not funny. It was, yeah.
You know, there was another Royal Rumble elimination that was replayed over and over and over again. But this was far before Titus O'Neil. I mean, we were all children when this one took place. This is going back to the year 2000. Do you remember that? The Y2K.
Yeah. Everything's ending.
And of course, I'm talking about somebody who is still wrestling in New Japan now, Taka Michinoku. Does anybody, and this was a big deal in 2000, but do you guys remember the Taka elimination?
I see these guys, they think Bullet Club invented Japanese wrestling, so they don't know.
Got him.
In 2000, Kai and Tai.
Don't send me mean tweets. Kai and Tai.
Funaki and Taka.
Funaki, I just ran into in the airport. What a hell of a human being he is.
He's a great guy, isn't he?
Man.
Yeah.
Men's Teo.
They weren't in the Royal Rumble match, but they kept jumping in. Like, that was the gag. And Taka jumped in one too many times.
Ladies and gentlemen.
Oh, wait, this is the wrong. Hang
God
on.
damn it, Sam.
Hot dog.
Everyone boo Sam. 1, 2, 3, boo.
No.
Thank you.
Listen, Lobster Pants, you need to stop. Just
Thank
stop.
you.
Just roll with the flow. Come on.
Let's see if this one is.
Rehearse Murray.
There it
Wait
is.
a minute. Hey, Kai and Tai. They're not in the Rumble. They were
There's a couple of those guys that were mad they weren't in the
Goddamn.
Rumble.
D'Lo and looks like Headbanger Mosh in a cone bra. Okay,
They're
there's
not
one
in this Rumble, I
elimination.
assure you,
Grandmaster
folks.
Sex A.
Oh,
Crotched him.
the kind of guy
Not
you
great.
Here
He
it
came
comes.
back.
They're back again. Kai and Tai.
That's a
And
test.
there goes Funaki.
Gangrel, big boss, man. Gangrel, what a human
There it
being.
is.
And
Here it
here we
comes.
go.
Watch this.
Rest in peace, Taka.
Oh, watch him. Watch him.
Kai and Tai won't take no for an answer.
Oh,
Dead.
the humanity. Now, what people don't remember is, like, and this is when I guess, like, when Titus fell and they replayed it over and over again, it was just fun. Like, that f***ed him up.
Yeah, he had like a broken collarbone and a concussion, and it's not funny.
But they
except
still
for the-
went on Raw, and they were like, you got to see this elimination. He slammed his face all over the mat.
basically the basis of like Barstool Sports. Speaking of,
Wow,
It's a
Captain
slurp.
Transitions over here.
He's been having a hell of a run on the NXT TakeOver pre-show.
Also the NFL.
The NFL.
Wow.
Broadcasting NFL and college football games. I mean,
That guy's
this
about to
man-
kick his ass, so Pat might not make it.
He's
so.
got a Sam Roberts t-shirt on. Ladies and gentlemen,
That's Bob
Pat
Ross.
McAfee.
Hi, Pat.
Pat.
Great to see you all. This is a cool little thing you guys got going on. Cuzzy, what's going on? Hey,
That's
you
right.
two are really fucking good on TV together, by the way.
Thank you.
Yeah, no problem. Sam, great face again.
Thank
See you on the internet. You're hilarious.
Thank you. Yes, indeed.
How
Thank
has
you.
your life been as a independent small business owner? I feel like every time I sit up, you've got another small venture happening, whether it's an NFL game, but you just pop in. You go, hey, NFL, I'm here for today. Now back to my small business.
Yeah, they sent me home immediately after the game and told me they would never like me on air again, but they enjoyed what I did. So that makes no sense at all, but here we are.
Yeah, but here's what happens with you. You know how to capitalize on a moment. Like, I go, okay, McAfee's just doing one game. Like, it'll just be a fun, cute thing. Yeah. And then all over the internet is like, hey, here's the greatest football call of all time.
Thank you.
And there's young Patrick.
Thank you.
Young Patrick
Yeah, I was
behind a
pretty loose.
microphone.
I was pretty loose in the booth there, Sam. I got declined from the NFL broadcast boot camp 3 times.
Really?
Okay? So any NFL player you see that's in a booth or commentating goes to the NFL broadcast boot camp. It's a big deal.
What happens there?
And all the bigwigs are there. There's a lot of handshaking. They teach you how to read cards and stuff. Yeah. There is some stuff, I think, behind the scenes. I'm not sure. But I was rejected 3 times from that. So I'm the first person to ever get into a game that has zero education and commentary, aside from listening to dumbass Corey Graves 2 nights a week out of my life.
Yeah, I don't know what the hell that play was called, but it was stupid, and that guy's helmet sucks. That's
pretty much what I did.
Yeah, that's where I draw the line.
Yeah, it's a pretty good little life I live. Yeah, it's very dumb. This shirt's for sale, by the way. Speaking of small business owner, you can buy it right now, 20% off. All of you in here. Everybody else can. All right?
You and I both know very well that TakeOver is also going on. It's not just Royal Rumble weekend. Is there something specific that you're looking forward to at NXT TakeOver Phoenix?
Yeah, I mean, every time they do the takeover, there's just insane that happens. Sam.
Did a bull detector just go off, Corey Graves?
Obviously.
Was that a detector that I?
Nope. Sometimes I'm here. I'm good.
This is my favorite version of Graves. Everybody welcome him.
Matt, this is Matt.
Yeah. This is the world champion of love speaking to you. Come on.
Well, you know.
I'm excited, Sam, to talk with you mostly.
Well, I'm excited for you. I'm excited every time we hang out. You know, I don't think it's going to be the same in Phoenix as it was in New York.
Tony, get out of the way so they can kiss.
Yeah, I was going to say.
Mark Henry, world's strongest man, had to
Hates
carry
me.
Well, he had to carry me home the last time in New York after.
I saw that. You don't remember, but I do.
Great.
Oh, you were? Yeah, you were at Caroline's.
There, yeah.
Oddly enough, the night before, you were the voice of reason to me.
Yep.
And I went, oh, this kind of sucks. And then I heard about Saturday, and I went, I'm good.
Yeah. Pat almost quit the WWE over SummerSlam weekend. He was insisting to me, I'm going home.
Yeah.
I'm humiliated.
Yep.
And don't bring this up again, Sam. We're over this. We're past it.
Well, Sam tried to make me kill myself. Really. He did. So
I don't think I'm capable of.
you did, though. So we had a bus over to the arena in New York, and this was the evening after the world's strongest man apparently carried me home that I did not
Literally.
recall.
Yeah, I spotted, by
Mark's
the
a
way.
true angel of a man.
He is.
He
One
is.
hand, by the way, he
I
picked
know.
me up. It was wild.
It was a breeze. What's great is that you didn't look like anything bad had happened because Mark was like, everything's fine. It was like weekend at Bernie's. And
It really was.
It was awesome.
It was like walking my legs for me. It was awesome. So I get in the van, and Sam's already on the van. I was late, obviously, to the van, like by 5 minutes or something.
No biggie.
And I come in, and I'm like, cool, I feel rough this morning, you know? And he's like, hey, you should. You were pretty crazy last night at Caroline's. I was like, I was at Caroline's? He was like, oh. And then the ride from the hotel to the arena, all Sam did was just explain to me how embarrassed I should be.
But it was just me and you in the van, right?
No, there was an entire crowd of people in the van. It was like a stand-up set for fucking Sam Roberts there. And by the time I got to the arena, I literally hid in a corner, and I was like, I can't see anybody. Everybody knows what I did last night, and I was going to get on a plane and fly home before the show. I was like, I'm fucking out of here. Never coming back, heading to Japan. That's where I'm going.
He was that guilt friend.
I knew we get through Times Square. Pat, what's that football move that you do to people when you get intoxicated? What's that called?
So we have a problem in society. Everybody's looking at their phones.
Yes.
So I hit them with a nice little juke, you know?
Yeah, juke.
Wake them up, and then you hit a little spin move on them, Tony, right there in Times Square. And if you're intoxicated, sometimes you stumble on your jukes. So people really got to look alive out there, Tony. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, and at times you stumble onto the hoods of moving cars.
I juked.
You got hit by a car?
It didn't move.
You got hit by a car?
The car
I think
stopped.
I hit the car.
Yeah, that's more like it. Yeah, he hit the car. But so we get to Caroline's Comedy Club, and Pat goes, I got to go to the bathroom. And I said, all right, I'll wait for Pat outside the bathroom. And I ended up talking to somebody. 10 minutes. Pat hasn't come out of the bathroom. I go, what happened to Pat? And I walked into the bathroom. It's empty. Pat has disappeared. He's disappeared into thin air. And I go, you know what? He's going to find his way home. No problem. 20 minutes later, into the main showroom of Caroline's Comedy Club, Pat comes in, stumbling into people, yelling at people. There's a guy running after him. Mr. McAfee! Mr. McAfee! Mr. McAfee! Because Pat has strung up in 20 minutes a $900 barbell.
I was going to do it here, too.
And the guy at Caroline's is terrified that he's too intoxicated to sign his receipt. Once he's got that signature, he's got the cash. He's all good.
Good to go.
Before the show started, Pat McAfee did pass out. He was unconscious.
That's when I saw you. That's when I first met you.
Great to see you again, Renee.
Lovely.
That's awesome.
I hear things are working out for you.
Everything's going real great.
Yeah. The guy at Caroline's kept coming over to me and going, do you know him? Are you okay? And I'm like, yeah, everything's fine. Everything's fine.
They gave Sam a blanket. They were like really concerned.
Hey, Cuzzy, it was pretty awesome fucking
900.
Night. Yeah, I said, hey, one for everybody in here. I gave one of those moves.
Whoa.
Yeah, it was cool. It was a thing. I thought we were having a good time.
If I spend $900 on alcohol, I'm carrying Mark Henry home at the end of the night.
Hell yeah.
So we tried to give Pat coffee. We tried to wake him up. He wouldn't wake up. By the time there was like 20 minutes left in the show, I was like, Mark, we need to wake up Pat and get him out of here now, because if we wait until the show's over, he's going to become a social butterfly again. Yeah. He's not going to be able to walk up the stairs. We need to just get him out of here. And Mark goes, you're right. And so Mark Henry, the world's strongest man, picked up a Super Bowl NFL player.
Like I was a toddler. He picked me up like I was a toddler, one-handed. Yeah, just carried me out while I think Dolph was doing his set while I was walking out. And
You're better off.
How dare you?
I don't think Dolph deserved that. But I gave him like a good luck on my way out, he told me, which is very nice.
He told
of
you
me.
that?
Yeah, he told me that the next day.
All you can do is take his word for it.
Very nice of me to say that to him.
It's good luck when you get carried out with your eyes closed.
Mark Henry the next day, though, ran into me at the arena, and this was after they forced me to stay. I was really going to leave. I was forced to stay. And he was like, he pointed at me and like gave me that. This is the first time I've seen him since hearing about what happened. And I'm like, fuck, I don't want to go talk to Mark Henry right now. This is going to be an awful moment. So I sit down next to him, he puts his arm around me, he goes, you old school, man. And also, look at this $900 bill. You gotta call and complain about that. There's no way you spent $900. I was with you. It was like 4 minutes. There's no way you spent. I was like, that probably did happen, Mark. He said, how? I was like, I think I bought a drink for everybody. He said, you spent $900? I was like, yeah, Mark. He said, you fool, man. I was like, thanks, Mark. Thank you so much, Mark. I was like, you don't hate me, though? He was like, hate you? You spent $900 in 4 minutes. I was like, my man. So I think me and the world's strongest man are best friends.
Oh, yeah.
Mark's
It's
lovely.
a really good day for me to have that in my back pocket.
Well, here's one of my great memories of that evening.
Perfect.
Was
We're back on that bus to the arena right now, buddy.
Yeah. I mean, look, you should. So we exited Caroline's through another building. You know, and I was just in the lobby of that building recently, and I just started getting deja vu, and I felt about that building the way Corey Graves feels when he watches Titus O'Neil disappear under a ring. Just happiness. Just happiness. Right. It's just such a great.
I'm curious.
It was amazing. So Pat's sitting there on the couch of this building. It's like, whatever, 2:00 in the morning. It's the overnight desk guy. In Manhattan, there's one guy who works in the entire building overnight because who would need to be in an office building overnight?
Poor guy.
And so Pat's sitting there and he's on the couch.
Project Mayhem.
Yeah.
Just saying.
And Mark calls the Uber, and Pat's decided he'd prefer to not get off the couch. He'd like
It's comfortable, Tony. I've been in that goddamn comedy club chair for like 2 hours. I found a couch in that living room.
Are you sure it just wasn't Mark Henry?
I could have been laying on Mark Henry. Now that I think about it. Yeah.
And
this big, beautiful chocolate brown couch.
Sexual chocolate.
Just soft, warm leather.
Yeah. Sexual feathers in there.
Mark Henry would make a hell of a sofa. I mean, to be fair.
The couch kept lifting me up with one arm.
So
could have happened, by the way.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, I'm not sure.
Absolutely. So I go, Mark, you got to help me get him off the couch because I'm not as strong as Mark Henry.
No.
Surprise, surprise.
The world's second strongest man, Sam Roberts.
You guys remember when Mark Henry gave birth to a hand?
Oh, yeah.
You done good.
Thank you. But I had a lot working against me, But as we're as we're walking back into the lobby to try to peel Pat off this couch.
By the way, incredible friendship by you.
Thank you.
Honestly.
Thank you.
I would have left me to die.
No. I wasn't gonna. We were gonna see this thing through.
I appreciate that.
Mark Henry goes, "Oh, hell no," because Pat, as he's sitting on the couch, just decides to lean over to his side and evacuate the contents of his stomach onto the floor.
$900 and some in 4 minutes.
He was throwing up all the drinks that he bought for everybody at that bar.
Yes. And that's when Mark Henry knows, okay, it's time to be the world's strongest man. And he picks him up and he carries him out. And the overnight desk guy goes, "Who's going to clean that up?" And Mark's like, "We got to go." And we walked out. And the bow on this entire experience was we walk out and Pat's got to finish what he started. So he's dry heaving on the sidewalk, hands on knees, making a scene. He's being loud and everything. It's just he's not in great shape. Mark's over there. He's trying to call the Uber. I'm just clearly being observant.
Yeah, of course.
And people are walking by and looking at Pat like, "Oh, of course, I have to deal with this in New York. This is disgusting, blah, blah, blah." This couple walks by. They look at Pat. They're just disgusted. They're trying to avoid eye contact, but they can't not look. And as they're trying to avoid eye contact, they go, "Oh, are you Mark Henry?"
It's a magical moment for them.
And they got to meet the world's strongest man. But
And this recollection, ladies and gentlemen, is why it sucks to have sober friends.
Touche.
Amen.
Because otherwise, I'm in it with you.
One of my favorite drunk moments is Corey Graves texting me. We're in Los Angeles. That he's in a cab. I don't know where he's going, but
Neither did I.
apparently the IRS is hot on his trail.
I somehow...
It was a
I'm
wild,
not
manic
great at public
30
transportation.
minutes.
I grew up in Pittsburgh where we had taxis. We didn't have like a public transportation system, so it's still all kind of new to me. I live kind of near New York, and I'm still a taxi guy, maybe Uber. So when I'm in LA, I'm in a goddamn different country.
It's a frenzy.
I had went out and had myself a time, and I decided I was going to be responsible and go home, except I couldn't figure out how to do that.
By the way, it happens.
I asked him to send me his PIN like 45 times, and he didn't know what that meant.
I said,
was
I
like,
have no
legit
idea what
concerned for
that
his well-being.
means. I ended up, I accidentally decided to do an Uber ride share.
Now he's frugal.
Which, as a drunken human being, you don't ever want to do. And I ended up with the two worst women on the West Coast in the back seat, arguing. I don't even remember why, but we were just not getting along. It was very, very, very contentious. And somehow I decided that at that point the IRS was after me. which they may or may not be. I don't know. But at that point, I was convinced. And somehow I ended up back in my hotel room, and I looked through my text messages the next morning, as you often do, and they were all to Renee. And she had repeatedly kept saying, "Where are you? I'll come get you. Where are you? Send me a pin."
I was trying to be nice.
"I don't know what that means." "What do you mean a pin?" "I have no clue where I'm at." "I am everywhere."
Those were legit answers. I'm everywhere. I'm like, what the
Well, we should
quit.
We should quit?
I mean, just the business as a whole.
I
Like,
see,
it's not going to get
I
any
see.
better than this.
Just stop.
People show up to listen to us talk shit. It's not going to be any better.
It's that time of the evening for me to ask people.
Pass away.
Tony, what's your favorite Royal Rumble? This actually is a wrestling show.
That one's easy for me, actually. I'm a massive Ric Flair fan.
19.
He's my favorite. Above everybody and everything. I even married a woman named Charlotte, and one of the main reasons why is because he has a daughter
She was
named
also his
Charlotte.
daughter. It was
Right.
weird.
It's a lot.
And I'm just, that's it. So Ric
92.
Flair, 92.
92.
Ric Flair
bad
wins the
guy
title.
all the way through. Bad guy through his final promo, just celebrating. He
With
looked
a
like
tear
a guy.
in my eye.
He looked like a guy that was about to go have the time of his life. And you know he's probably about to spend $900 at a bar buying everybody drinks. He just won the Royal Rumble.
Relax.
And, it's just Ric Flair all the way. Anytime I ever see him, hear his music, even if it's just for a second, I lose my goddamn mind. I bend at the knee for Ric Flair. But I wouldn't.
Well, let's see how you feel after this.
Goddamn psycho shit.
By the way, how confusing was this to see Hulk Hogan get so butthurt that he tried to eliminate Sid? He's supposed to be a hero.
Sid's not even mad at him.
He's psycho.
How goddamn great is he? He was 71 years old there. He looks incredible.
Here it is.
In my eye. There it is.
This is the greatest moment in my life. When you walk around this world and you tell everybody you're number one, the only way you get to stay number one is to be number one. And this is the only title in the wrestling world that makes you number one. When you are the king of the WWF, you rule the world. Woo!
Although, that was missing one thing. Put that cigarette out.
Okay. I would love us to have a quick little Mean Gene moment here. I mean,
Yeah.
man, what a guy.
What a guy.
What an unbelievable human being. I feel like for anyone that's not got the chance to have met Mean Gene, he's actually the person that you would imagine he is.
Yeah, you got to work with him quite a bit.
I worked with him, a lot. Actually, my very first job I ever had when I first started with WWE was working with Mean Gene. And we got WWE Vintage in Canada actually on the network that I worked at. So I was like super nervous coming in my first day to be working with him. And he's just like such a gem. He made me feel so comfortable. And we would just like go hang out and drink Okerlunds at the end of the show. And
what's an Okerlund?
An Okerlund is a vodka soda with a splash of cran.
If you want to get fancy, per Okerlund, it's a double kettle because he dealt with nothing else. Double kettle, soda, splash of cranberry.
He's the best.
You guys should all order them right now.
Yeah.
Pat's got it. It's on Pat.
Pat's got it.
It's on Pat.
I was wondering if we could get a couple Okerlunds. For
They
the
work
boys.
just as fine with well, by the way. I've been doing it all day.
Yeah, Mean Gene
I'll
was
pull the
just
trigger
best.
on that.
Yeah,
Pat,
hell yeah.
Do you
Some
go,
Okerlunds.
Yeah, that feels good.
Pat, do you go...
Do a quick head count before you commit.
yeah.
Yeah.
Quick math.
Do you go deep enough to have a favorite Royal Rumble?
So I have favorite moments. Like what Kofi does.
Yeah.
Is like I'm excited to see that. Like I'm excited to see what Kofi does when Santino threw himself out. I like that moment.
Yeah.
They're like I just enjoy the magical moments that I hope in NXT. I hope
They
in
don't have the
NXT
Royal Rumble in NXT.
No, but I hope somebody
WWE.
gets caught up. I hope that's how we make a debut.
You know, Pat and I grew up in rival high schools.
That's right.
What a weird world it is.
That's right.
I succeeded and he kicked footballs.
It's true, though. He used to have to
I've
drive
never-
past a sign that said my name on it.
It
Home
did.
of Pat McAfee every day of his life.
It did. It really
And then-
bothered me.
Yeah, still does, as you can hear in his voice right there.
Dripping in disdain.
What about you, Renee Young? Do you have a favorite Royal Rumble?
Gosh, I mean, I feel like any like HBK stuff's so great, but I'm gonna be a little bit of like a chick here. And honestly, last year watching the women do their thing was like really.
It's not a bad
It was
pick.
killer. It was absolutely was. It was,
Not a
it was
bad pick.
super
really,
good.
Yeah.
It was awesome.
Like
and just
straight-
and just like rewatching it, like leading up to this Sunday, and like watching all like the hard work those women did, and like what a iconic moment that was of having Ronda come out and point at the WrestleMania sign. Like it was badass. They did it right. And for anyone that like waits to like watch the women have their moment and do their thing, I really feel like they stood up and held that time.
I completely agree, and I'm going to put myself on blast here, and I think I'm probably not the only man in this room that was like, "Oh, it's cool they're doing that. It's not going to be that good," right? Like I'll paint myself with that guilty brush. I was like, "Oh, they're going to do it, and it's going to be okay," but it is what it is. And then it happens, and I am as caught up in it and emotional as anybody on the goddamn planet Earth watching this. And I was just like, wow. It was
The
incredible,
moments,
you
like,
know.
even like the moments between like Trish and Mickey,
Right,
and like
and it was.
Natty and Beth and Nia, like there was such cool in that match.
I completely agree, and I think sometimes it gets caught up in it. Like, let's be honest.
It's like a
Let's be honest.
checklist.
It's you're going like, okay, so it's a general thing. Everyone's getting more opportunity. It doesn't necessarily always work.
Right, like doing opportunity for the sake of opportunity
and
instead of...
I'll paint guys and girls with the same brush. Just because you have the opportunity doesn't mean it's going to work.
Right.
So to see the women last year and call that and be there ringside, and I will be 100% honest, I was skeptical. I was going like, I don't know if this is going to be as cool as the men's, and they tore the house down and stole the show.
Holly looked like a
The
million
women
bucks.
have been crushing.
No, 100%.
Just completely crushing.
Right,
and it's-
they are, and I'm more. This is more of a confessional.
Yeah,
like I'm admitting my going like, cool. I'm glad they're getting the opportunity, but is it really going to be like? And you guys, if you guys, all of you, tell me you've never thought that, you're. But like it happens, you know what I mean? You just go like, okay, cool. They're going to do this thing. Is it really gonna? And then you go, holy, that was beyond what I expected, and now I'm genuinely stoked on all that stuff. So.
But, you know, I think for some of these women that get like handed that baton to go out and do something great on such like a large stage with so many people watching, it's like.
Oh my God.
There's an immense amount of pressure for all these women to come out and have like such a great showing, and then you got like this guy.
You're trying to have a moment. Renee's trying to be
trying
like
to have a moment. He
kind of wrap it up on a nice
I tried to have a
note.
moment with her. It was weird. It was very.
Yeah, I
Sorry.
get it. Hey,
I'll give you your money back.
have you guys had a good
See
time
Pat.
tonight? Well, then, I'd like to thank my guests. First of all, Mr. Tony Hinchcliffe, and any of you, if you enjoyed Tony, you could just stick around. He's going to be on at 10 p.m. tonight on this stage in this room doing stand-up
He
comedy.
brought 241 friends. All of them are better than the four of us.
True.
I do have a lot of friends coming. And I'm doing a podcast tomorrow, Kill Tony, at Stand Up Live in Phoenix at 3 p.m.
Wow, you want to sell some shirts?
No, I'm good.
Okay.
Tomorrow, right before NXT TakeOver Phoenix, you will get to hear this Golden Tongue Devil for yourselves.
Wow.
On the NXT.
I thought Silver was
That was
high as it
erotic
got,
as
man.
all.
Thank you.
Hey, you're doing a great job, Sam.
Thank you. On the NXT Phoenix TakeOver pre-show, ladies and gentlemen, Pat McAfee.
Thank you all so much.
From the Pat McAfee Show 2.0.
Thank you. First
Yes.
one got stolen.
The woman who will be doing commentary at the Royal Rumble, at Monday Night Raw, with pink hair,
Looks good.
I did not get this approved.
Renee Young.
Thank you.
And the man who has never gotten anything approved,
Accomplished.
my co-host, Corey Graves. Most importantly, thank all of you. You have all been great. If you got a VIP dealio,
I'm available for.
And Evian water.
Bring some water. We're going to go away, and then we're going to come back and do the meet and greets, and we'll be selling posters, the whole deal. So thank you all very much. Good night, everybody.
Thank you, guys.